got a bit of an audience here. Thank you for coming, everybody. This is the COVID conversation, and it is about the Ojibwe Jingle dance, jingle dress dance. Wow, try to say that 5 times, eh? So this is going to be a really interesting thing. This is presented by Waunakee Public Library. And tonight's feature is going to have presenters. They're both very highly educated people. Emily Sargent is about to get her Ph.D. From the Department of Psychiatry from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And she is very much interested in mental health issues and holistic healing. Rhonda Este has been an educator for 25 years. And she also has some master's degree in public safety and in education. I think both of them are very much devoted to their community, and they're both members of the White Earth Band of the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe. And they are interested tonight in educating and enhancing and letting people see their culture. So I'll turn it right over to Rhonda and to Emily, and they're going to fill you in a little bit more, kind of a hello to our community about themselves. And after that, I will start with a short series of questions I have about this jingle dress dance. And speaking of questions, I'd like all participants to stay muted for the duration of the presentation. And if you have questions, please put them in the chat and I'll make sure to read them at the end. Just because in Zooms, any loud noise, if you're not muted, is going to take over the screen. And I really don't want to take away from this presentation. So anyway, let's hear from Rhonda and Emily.
Alrighty, well, do you want me to get started? Well, hello everyone. My name's Emily Sargent, and I am a tribal member of White Earth Nation in northern Minnesota. And I also am receiving my Ph.D. in clinical psychology, so I plan to practice as a psychologist and specialize in trauma and cultural behavioral health in Native American communities. So, you know, I've been dancing since I was, I don't know, like 5 or 6 is when I got my first dress, and it's kind of come full circle tonight because my auntie is one of the first people I've danced with and taught me how to dance. So I'm really happy that she could be here with me too. So I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself as well.
I'm Rhonda Este, and I've been an educator for, like Gay said, for over 20 years. Really enjoy teaching children. I've been dancing since I was little too. We got kind of an extra boost with our local 4-H group that built a dance troupe, and we went around and taught adults and other 4-H groups all over the state of Minnesota. And it just kind of carried on into my adulthood as a jingle dress dancer, which I really love. So I'm very proud of Emily for carrying that on too.
Well, the first question that I have for you is this particular dance. The reason I was interested in featuring it in this venue is that it seems so perfectly comforting for the social unrest and current pandemic, and it's making people so uneasy. What is the origin of the dance? And if there's a more proper term for it, you can tell us that too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just want to first and foremost say that this is the story that I've been taught, and that, you know, other tribes have definitely have their own origin story. So even though this is, you know, my version or our version that we've learned, I just want to give respect to all the other nations and tribes throughout the Northern Plains part of the United States, because they may have a different origin story too, and we want to respect and honor that, and where theirs come from. So just to disclose to everyone that this isn't like the final said story, it's just this is the one that's been passed on to us. So yeah, I guess where I can kind of get started with it is, you know, jingle dress dancing has been kind of seen as one of the most healing dances you can do, specifically in Anishinaabe and Ojibwe tribes, which are mostly located in Canada, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and a little bit of North Dakota. And so the reason why it's so healing is kind of the origin story that, you know, we've been taught is the Northern Ojibwe or Anishinaabe people in the early 1900s, there was a pandemic that went on in about the 19-teens, 18, 19, about 100 years ago, and they had the Spanish flu that was happening. The story I got was from a woman named Julie Smith. She's also an Anishinaabe woman of White Earth Nation. And, you know, what she was taught was from actually one of the original family members of this family was a family up in Whitefish Bay, Ontario. About 100 years ago when this pandemic was going on, this medicine man, he had a dream one night. And in this dream, it was a little girl dancing in a dress. And so and a spirit came to him and told him, you need to have a little girl come dance in a dress, because the little girl was very sick. And so his granddaughter was very sick. And so how the story goes is that when he woke up, you know, he realized what the spirits had told him and Creator had told him and had come down. And that's where he got the vision to have his granddaughter dance in this dress that was full of jingles. And so he did, and they made the dress. She danced for him in the community and gathered all the people in the community and the tribe, and they danced. And this little girl healed, and she got better, and she was able to recover from the Spanish flu that at the time is what they think was the Spanish flu that she had, a very severe sickness. So that's kind of how, you know, we've learned of this dress, and that's why the dress is so sacred, is because it was shown to heal people and heal their spirits and their body. And so it's so fitting now that we've seen it kind of been talked about and seen it as such a healing dress and a healing dance because of what it's done in history, but also now in this pandemic, what we're hoping, you know, us holding on to our heritage and our culture can help hopefully heal what's going on with us right now, not just with the COVID pandemic, but also with racial inequity and social justice. So do you have anything to add on to me?
No, just some of the other versions too that came about where it was from the Mille Lacs band in Minnesota and also Red Lake. So we want to also credit their versions too.
So yeah, that is kind of the broad story of how the jingle dress has come to light. And you know, one thing I do want to point out, just so we respect kind of the dress and the story, is I did give you guys the shortened version. And that's because you don't hear the full version unless you're the one who will be dancing, and you're the one that will be in this dress and be honoring your people and be honoring the land. It's your duty to receive the full story. But if you're not the one dancing, you don't get to be told the full story, if that makes sense. And it's just out of respect for the culture and the heritage and the dress itself, because it's so sacred, is we don't share the full story unless it's because you are going to be the one dancing in it. I got that right. Okay.
At this point, did you want to share the video that?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Let me see if I could actually. Oops. Sorry.
So a little background here about this video I'm gonna have Gabe pull up is her name is Dr. Rhonda Este, and she's a professor at the University of Minnesota in American Studies. And she does just a fabulous job at kind of sharing the story I just shared with you, but she does it in a very cool video. And she shows some videos of women dancing in this dress. And so I thought it was a really good 2-minute video to kind of take even further what I said and take her story and what she's been told and what she's studied and kind of share with you guys as well. And this is on YouTube. So I'll have you pull it up, Gabe.
Yeah. I'm working on it.
Ojibwe people always refer to the jingle dress dance as a healing tradition. The dance and the jingles themselves are all about healing. When I was doing research on the history of the jingle dress dance tradition, I noticed that I couldn't find a single photograph in the United States or Canada of what we would call a jingle dress. And I started to think about why I couldn't find a dress older than circa 1920. And I thought about the stories that Ojibwe people tell. I'm from Red Lake in northern Minnesota. And we often hear a story about a little girl who fell ill and her father had a vision. And after his vision, which was about this first jingle dress, he gave the dress to his daughter and she began to improve her health, got better, and it was sort of a miraculous kind of thing. The story, the photographs, and the history of this event, kind of knowing as a historian what was going on, led me to thinking about the global pandemic of influenza that killed more people than World War I and was very devastating in the Great Lakes and Native communities. But it was also a global epidemic. And that got me thinking that this is probably why this new healing tradition emerged around the time of World War I and why it has an association with healing. In some ways, the jingle dress dance was always a radical tradition because at the time the dress appeared around circa 1920, the United States had issued a circular from the Indian office in Washington. It was the circular which outlawed ritualistic dancing on Indian reservations in the United States. So when this came about in 1920, there was something threatening about Native people carrying on their culture and their performative traditions. And so it's interesting to me to think about a new women's healing tradition emerging out of that same moment in time when Native people's dances are perceived as threatening in some ways to the United States. It was revolutionary for the women who were performing this dance. It was empowering, and I think what you see from the how it's been used in contemporary protest movements like Idle No More and Standing Rock, you're seeing that it still empowers women in their communities today.
That was great. I guess I've got another question to ask Emily and Rhonda. And I've noticed, as I said in the beginning, that there's a lot of scenes on Facebook of this dance taking place. Do you know of people that are organizing dances currently? Or do you have a regular schedule of doing this yourself? And what sort of events do you do with this dance?
Yeah, so I mean, typically when you would dance in a jingle dress is at a powwow or some sort of dancing ceremony in a Native culture or Native American tribe or culture. However, because of the pandemic and everything that's going on right now, you know, for safety reasons and wanting to make sure we're taking care of our reservations and our people, we've had to cancel a lot of powwows across the nation. And so, you know, that's been hard, but I think really one thing that I've seen on Facebook is that we have what's called the social powwow group. And there's like almost over, like, oh gosh, like I want to say like maybe 1 million or a little less than 1 million people who have joined who are Aboriginal, Indigenous, Native American, all across Northern America, including Canada. And we've been able to all gather on this social media website, and people will post videos of themselves dancing in their yard or dancing with their small families and having their own sacred small ceremonies and posting it so that we all can see each other dance. So it's able to transcend through the internet and transcend through video. And so that's one way that I've been able to reconnect and see people dancing again, which definitely brightens my spirits and helps me feel hopeful that this will all come to an end soon. So that's, you know, one way, but I think we're all looking forward to going back to getting into powwows again. Typically we'll have, like here in White Earth, we'll have the annual powwow, but then we have different villages within our nation, our reservation, that will put on their own small powwows, like the Nato-Wash Harvest Fest in the fall will do. So typically, yeah, we'll have about like 4 to 5 to 6 a year in White Earth reservations. So it's really been great, especially for the little kiddos, to learn and to be able to practice dancing and learn the dance and traditions. So
also we'll get asked to go to school powwows, typically in the spring. A lot of the area schools and colleges will have their annual powwows, so we do traveling then too if we're invited. I've also participated in Idle No More. It was done in Duluth a few years back and stuff, and they had asked for jingle dress dancers to come, and that's one of the responsibility that we have, is when we're called upon to actually go and dance for healing, whether it's for someone who's sick or just, you know, needs the boost of the spirit.
Oh, actually, Rhonda, a shout out to you is the reason I even had this idea to do this program in the first place was because I saw you on Facebook dancing in your house around a plant.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I have been asked, I have been called upon by some community members who were sick and was asked to dance. And I just felt at the time it was better for me to dance inside, whereas a lot of people were dancing outside and stuff, kind of in the location where I live and stuff. I just felt it more appropriate to.
Was it a little colder then?
Yeah.
It was a beautiful gesture, absolutely. I have a couple questions in the chat about the clothes. What goes into making the dresses? Are there people who make them specially, people who, you know, really customize in this? And there is a question about, that kind of goes along with this, as what are the jingles made out of?
Sure. Well, so I brought my dress with me that was made almost 3 years ago. Yeah. So this is my dress, and really, there are special people, or I shouldn't say special, but just people who are really skilled in making these dresses, and they're known, like, for generations. They're within certain families, like, you know which family to ask to get your dress made. And so typically what will happen is you need to offer them tobacco. If you want them to make your dress, it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of honor when you ask someone to make you a jingle dress, because of how healing it is. And the responsibility you carry when you're a dancer for your community and your tribe. And so you offer them tobacco and for compensation too. And, you know, but a cool story about this is, like, what I like to share is a group of women from White Earth, Native American women. We all get together and we have a ceremony once a month called Full Moon Ceremony. And we all have this great idea, like, why don't we learn to make our dresses together? And one of the ladies, Julie Smith, had learned the origin, and a couple of other women that were there learned the origin of the dress. And so we wanted to make it together. And so that's the special story that goes with my dress is, a bunch of us got together and spent, like 10 to 15 hours together making it. And I will admit I gave up. I got frustrated, and I did make all the jingles and attached the jingles on the string, but I had someone make the full dress. And she is actually Aboriginal from Canada. She lives in Moorhead, Minnesota. And she finished my dress for me. And so, but yeah, typically there are people within our community who, you know, who are dressmakers, and that you would go and ask, but you have to offer them in a certain way and in a respectful way. And so what they're made out of is, you can see their tin, and you can hear when they jingle, you can hear the click, the tin. And so that's actually made out of tobacco tins, because tobacco is so sacred. You put tobacco tins around your dress, because tobacco in a lot of Native American tribes is considered one of the most sacred medicines you can ever have. And so that's why also the dress is so healing. And when that man had a dream, he had a dream that it would be tobacco tins on the dress. So yeah. So this one is, so we have what's called, you'll hear when we talk about like the dance itself, you have traditional and contemporary, but then you also have traditional dresses and contemporary dresses. So traditional dress is more like a dress you would get more like 100 years ago, right, when this dress kind of started. And typically in Anishinaabe tribes, the floral is what makes kind of that dress a little bit more traditional, that floral pattern. Also, typically you would have 365 tins on your whole dress. That's a very traditional dress because 365 days a year. Mine is not, because it would have been really heavy. So I asked Creator to forgive me because I didn't put 365 on there. But yeah, that typically would be what a dress is. So, and then you'll have a little scarf that goes with it as well. And then you'll have a little pouch that has all your medicines and your tobacco in it because you want to carry tobacco on you when you're dancing. And then this is a more contemporary style top part of a jingle dress. So a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more colorful, bouquet, yeah. So a little bit more contemporary style and design.
Wow, that's gorgeous. They both are.
Yeah, and then typically you'll also have a fan with you. So you know more about the fan than I do. I'm gonna let you talk about this.
I've brought two different fans with me. This one was passed away from California. It's was sent as a healing fan, and so I've been dancing with it out of respect for the person that passed it down from me. This one's made out of turkey feathers. Jingle dress dancers will sometimes use these to kind of brush the air to the drum beat and kind of bring in the healing powers and stuff and good thoughts and stuff for the powwow ring and all of those people that are dancing, and also for the people that we're dancing for. But there's all different kinds of fans also. Sometimes we'll carry a medicine pouch or a tobacco pouch where we're given some of the tobacco to put in and stuff and carry it with us. Emily and I are both part of the Bear Clan, so that's why I have a beaded bear thing on my pouch. Sometimes they'll be just tiny, like little bitty tobacco pouches.
Yeah,
too.
That's what mine is. Mine's about this size, and I wear it as like a necklace when I dance. So I hope that answers people's questions of how it's made and where it's made. And
you can buy jingles now. It's really changed. You can send for jingles, and they come in different colors now: silver, gold,
copper, rose gold. Yeah,
yeah.
You can buy them online now. You buy them at Powwows, but back then you had to like take the tobacco tins and make them yourself. And some people still do that. They still do it the traditional way, and we really respect them because that's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort. So.
Right. Suppose you have to keep from cutting yourself too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Oh. Well, what is the sequence of the dance, and what are the steps like?
Yeah, so there's two kind of steps I know of. There's the traditional way of dancing, and then there's more of the contemporary. So I'm going to let you speak to this because you know a little bit more, and I can kind of fill in some of what I know.
Well, I was taught by some elders, older women. They would just come and they'd grab you and they'd point the finger to come out and dance with them. And if you're dancing old style jingle, you don't have any leggings, you don't have any fancy ribbons or anything on your regalia and stuff. And the traditional dance is slower And there's a couple different dances. There's just kind of side to side, where you just go step, slide, where it's slower. But the contemporary way of dancing,
so the contemporary way of dancing is a little bit more fast paced, and you kind of have a bounce, like a double bounce to your step with both your feet, and it looks so elegant, and it doesn't look like the dancers are bouncing, but when you look at their feet, they are, and it's almost like sweeping the grass a little bit. And so contemporary too, you're zigzagging, and that represents like life, right? In life, we don't just have like a straight path we take, we kind of zigzag a little bit, and we get lost, and then we find our way again. And so, you know, that's what kind of that faster paced contemporary style likes to represent as well. And with contemporary now, is at powwows, people will compete. So really, really, really good dancers. So not me, because I'm not that skilled, but really skilled dancers will compete at powwows, and they'll have competitions, and then you get a prize at whoever's the best dancer, whoever's, you know, left after, you know, a certain amount of time. And so that's really fun to watch, because there's some just young girls who are just so talented and are so good at what they do, and they're so honored to wear their dresses for their community. So
we attended a powwow, and we were dancing, and there was one of the competition for the jingle dress dancers was 91-year-old, we call her grandma, and I think she was from Red Lake. She danced many times, and she showed everybody up. She was just in such, you know, determined and good shape, and you could just see the spirit come through her, and she ended up winning the jingle dress competition. But wow, she just really stood as a role model for the rest of us.
Oh, wow. I have a question here in the chat. I think I know a little bit about the answer. It's what roles do males play, if any, in the dance? And I think they're drummers, aren't they?
Yeah, so there are male dancers who dance at powwows. They just do not wear jingle dresses, because jingle dresses are reserved for females and the women within the tribes. And so the males do have a role, so we do have different types of male dances, and they'll have different types of regalia on. And so you can talk a little bit about that, but then yes, all the men are responsible for the drums. So we have big drums. There could be up to like 10 at a powwow going at once, and they have different drum groups from the different communities and villages. And they'll come, and that's a big part of the male role at a powwow, is to provide the drums so the people can dance to both female and male.
There's different categories for the men. They have traditional, they have brass, they have fancy style dancing.
Yeah. You will show at the end, I have a really very powerful video at the end that a group put out back in March or April, when COVID was kind of really on the rise, and well, it still is, but anyway, when we thought it was on the rise. And you'll see both men and the women, but it's the women who kind of take the charge in this video of like, we're the ones responsible for healing, especially the women who jingle dress dance. There's also fancy dance for women as well, so there's no jingles on the dresses. And they're very fast paced, and they're very beautiful. Their regalia is colorful, and they've got the shawls, and so yeah. I am from New Mexico. Have your group ever attended the Gathering of Nations? Have you?
Yes,
okay.
I did. It was phenomenal. It's, if you ever get a chance, you wanna go at least once and see it, because it has all the different kinds of styles of dancers from all over the place, and beautiful regalia, and they have like huge arts and crafts fair there. It's just something really to go see.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one's on my bucket list then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, you ready for another question? Or?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we're getting down to the end here, I think. do you, let's see, could the dance refer to healing the earth as well as people? Just because, you know, we're in this climate change time.
Yeah. Well, what I saw was super beautiful, and just gives an example and kind of answers your question, is, you know, when the Black Lives Matter movement happened down in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and still happening, but when it erupted after George Floyd's death, you know, there was this beautiful ceremony that the Native American people down there, which a lot of the people actually are originated from White Earth, a lot of tribal members from White Earth had their own little community down in Minneapolis, and they gathered and they had a ceremony where George Floyd had died, and they had a ceremony for him, and they included all different races to be included in this beautiful ceremony. And you saw these women just dance in their jingle dresses, and it was so powerful. And it was so moving because, you know, it was their way to show, like, we're here as women and we're dominant, and we are here to help heal these people in pain, not just Native people, but all people of color, all people who want to be allies. And I thought it was just such a beautiful way to represent what that dress means. Mm-hmm. It's not that we just want healing for Native American people. We want healing for everyone, and not just from COVID, but in terms of equality and justice, in terms of health, and peace. Equity and peace and respect. That's what we're praying for and we're dancing for. And that kind of answers your question. And yes, it is healing to the earth too. Like, a lot of what this dress takes is from the earth. So we want to give back to the earth by paying our respects to it. And that's why when we dance, we're really respectful, and we ask Mother Earth, can we dance on your ground? Because this is yours, it's not ours. And we want to be able to ask for that and be respectful.
And the role of the jingle dress dancer, you have a lot of responsibility if you've been given that role, to live a good life and to be healthy and to teach others, teach children, you know, and teach others about dancing. And a lot of powwows and stuff, they'll have intertribal so people can come out. You don't have to be in regalia and come out and dance.
Because that would be the main thing, right? Oh, are you planning to use? You're both in your professions. Are you planning to, or in your case, Rhonda, have you used the dance with your third graders?
Yep, I have. Yep, I've taught groups, schools. I've gone to other schools and stuff, and we've done dance as part of their cultural units and stuff. Yeah.
She's being modest. She helped organize the Minoman Powwow, one of the first Minoman powwows at the school. Minoman High School powwows was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. And she created this and like helped these little kids be able to like see and be proud of where they come from and their traditions. And it was so beautiful.
Well, one of the real good feel moments for me too was being invited to go over and teach culture over at the St. Michael's Catholic School, and to bring cultures together like that. And we spent a day, one of the days, teaching them how to dance, doing the different dances, and it was so much fun and so rewarding. So, and my hope is that one of those students will pass it on to someone else that they know.
Right. I have a question here. Did you know that there is a book called The Jingle Dance? Now, I wonder if that's a librarian asking that question.
I haven't read it, but I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there is.
All right. Well, yeah, you too. I think this was really wonderful. I learned so much, and there's so much to appreciate here, and it won't end there for me. I'm going to seek out this subject in the future.
I would, if you mind, if we're about to wrap up, do you mind I show like this video?
Yeah, sure.
That, So I really wanted to end this with just a very like powerful, just gives you all the feels and makes your heart flutter video. It was a group that they are called, I'm gonna escape here, let's see. They are called the Native Women's Wilder Organization. And so or Wilderness, I should say, Native Women's Wilderness Organization. And they put out this video back in April or March. And they took all these videos from that social powwow I was talking about on Facebook. And they made this video, and this little girl, she wanted to make this video for everyone that's suffering from the coronavirus. And it's just so heartwarming. So I'd like to share that with you guys as a way to kind of end today and to show you some of the dances and to show you like how powerful jingle dress dancing and all types of dancing in Native American communities can be.
That sounds great. And afterwards, Emily and Rhonda, if you want to hang around a bit, and I'll have some business.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm going to share my screen here. Can you guys see? Okay.
I can see it.
Okay, I'm going to press play.
Today I wanted to do a dance for people who are sick from the coronavirus and who are scared and need healing.
Remember me, when the sun comes up in the morning sky, there I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me, down the road, hand in hand, you and me.
Today I'm offering a psychiatry dance for all the sickness in
Our fellow jingle dress dancers, all the Powwows.
Remember me,
When
the sun comes up in the morning sky, there I will
music dancing for the people, praying for their safety.
soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me.
Thank you for your time. I hope you find comfort. Remember to be kind to one another, pray for one another, be safe, and wash your hands.